Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop, Emerald Planet. All the ecology news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's your host, Executive Director of the Emerald Planet, Dr. Sam Lee Hancock.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. and the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for the 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And as we go to 2050 and we have about 9 billion people on the planet, how are we going to be able to provide them with the food, the fuel, the fiber, the basic infrastructure that they need, but specifically the food that's going to nourish, but also to be able to expand into green jobs, reduce the obesity rates, and to actually take the pressure off the public health system so that people are healthier, they can work longer and more energetic than ever before. And I have a gentleman sitting right beside me who's actually involved in this whole process.
Sir.
This is Tyrell Holcomb. He is the distribution manager for the Washington, D.C., the Capital Area Food Bank. And Tyrell, welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hancock, for having me.
I'm glad to have you here. And you've been telling me about all the hard work and the hot air that's in your distribution center. So
yes, sir.
I'm glad you survived this week because it's definitely a hot one. Anyway, tell us a little bit about the Capital Area Food Bank and what is the importance to bring proper nutrition into the inner city?
Well, the Capital Area Food Bank is the region's largest food distribution center. We serve as the largest hunger relief organization and the hub for food resourcing, food distribution, and nutrition education across the Washington metropolitan area. In 2014, fiscal year 2014, the food bank was responsible for distributing 42 million pounds of food. And the 42 million pounds
42 million pounds of food?
42
That's
million
a lot of food.
Pounds of food, yes. And 42 million pounds actually equates to 35 million meals. We were able to distribute this to over 500,000 people within our service area.
That is absolutely incredible numbers.
Yes, sir. And getting to the emphasis of distributing fresh fruits and vegetables to those that are in the inner city and of need, 1/3 of the 42 million pounds that we distributed last year, 1/3 of those 35 million meals were fresh fruits and vegetables.
Now this is something that we talk about, the food desert, and of course the theme of this is food deserts be gone and bring in, hook up the farmers, the agriculturalists with, people in the inner city. And what was really the challenge as far as fresh fruits and vegetables, particularly in the inner city areas?
I think one of the biggest challenges that I myself and my team, the direct distributions team, we see on a weekly basis, on a daily basis in distributing fresh fruits and vegetables, it's not the ability to distribute it. It's there are many people that they don't have the access to it. And since they don't have the access to it, they don't know what it is directly that they should be doing with those fresh fruits and vegetables. So for us, it's ensuring that we're getting these fresh fruits and vegetables out, but it's also ensuring that the people that we're distributing them to have the education around how it is that you actually use these fresh fruits and vegetables.
That's incredible. So what you're doing is you're not only linking the food, bringing the agriculturalist, I'm using that because you have orchardists and farmers and fishermen and all that are involved in this whole process, but also you're having the nutritionist involved so you know how to prepare that. So yes. How big a effort is that for the Capital Area Food Bank to actually go through this whole food processing system and then make sure it gets to the plate so that the children and the elderly and general folks are actually getting the nutrition they need?
I think the greatest need is that you see 30, 40 years ago, when a person came to you and said that they were in need, they needed food, they were at risk of being hungry. You handed them a brown bag, a 50-pound brown bag that had mostly canned goods in it. And most people know exactly what it is that you pair with a canned good. It's some type of grain or rice or pasta or something of that sort. But now what we're doing, the prepared food, yes.
Right.
But now what we're doing, the emphasis obviously again is on that fresh fruits and vegetables, but the emphasis being around the fresh fruits and vegetables, but ensuring that they're able to go home and cook it. So what we're doing and what we're actually doing now is we're pairing those fresh fresh fruits and vegetables that are going to them with recipe cards that are showing them exactly what it is that you do with the fresh fruits and vegetables that are being prepared. So we're taking those recipe cards and we're showing the community at large how it is that they go and prepare those foods. Again, and also being able to be mindful of the budgets, that some people don't necessarily have the budgets, or their budget is constrained to a certain amount on a monthly basis. So ensuring that they're able to cook these fresh fruits and vegetables on a particular budget on a monthly basis as well.
Yeah, looking at across the broad spectrum of the capital area, which is in Washington, D.C. and southern Maryland and northern Virginia, what's the mix as far as the gender, the ages, ethnicities, all these different socioeconomic backgrounds, and then how does that play out as far as getting the food out to them? And is there any difference in the food, or is it fairly general because people are living in a specific geographical location?
So the greatest statistic, one of the most startling statistics, is that the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., 30% of the children that live in Washington, D.C. are food insecure. 30%, 1 in 3 children, every day when they wake up, they are living in an insecure household where they're unsure of where their next meal is coming from. They're unsure of how it is that mommy and daddy are going to be able to put a meal on their table. So with that, the emphasis being placed on us, for us, is that we're trying to ensure that we're leaving no one behind. So our programs aren't just focused on seniors. Our programs aren't just focused on middle working class adults that may be classified as working adults, but still not having enough funds to provide meals for themselves. So the emphasis is incorporating the entire family. So we also have programs that are specifically designed for children, specifically designed for the entire family, including the entire family. That way we're able to meet this gap. We're able to meet this need to ensure that 1/3 of children in the nation's capital that are at risk of being hungry don't have that risk of going to sleep at night on an empty stomach.
Yeah, you talk about this food insecurity, and of course many people will say it's hunger or being hungry, but we define that differently, and it's a different scenario as far as, as we define hunger and being hungry in the developing world versus what we have in downtown Washington, D.C. How do you define hunger or this food insecurity, here, and then how are you directly meeting that so that these 1/3 that you're talking about feel like, okay, we really do have a safety net, people are taking good care of us, and then we need to move forward ourselves, so we're providing more and more for ourselves.
Most people, when they think of hunger, it's funny because when you ask a child this, when they think of a person who is hungry, they think of a person that does not necessarily have a roof over their head. However, you come to understand and realize that those that are hungry look just like you and I. They go with their daily routine. They do what it is that they do on a daily basis. So for us, hunger is not necessarily defined as a person who is living in downtown Washington or who's sleeping on the bench park at night that does not know how it is that they're able to be provided a meal. For us, hunger is those that are living in certain areas where there is not a great access to grocery stores.
So this again goes back to this food desert concept.
Yes, it goes back to the food desert concept, and it goes back to the accessibility of fresh fruits and vegetables. It goes back to the ability for those that are living in inner cities, that are living in Washington, in inner cities, that are living in areas that are considered to be affluent and well off, but they don't have the access to nutrition. They don't have the access to fresh fruits and vegetables. And some of them have never even seen certain items that are considered fresh fruits and vegetables. They don't have the knowledge of them, what it is that you actually do with them. So for us, the emphasis being on how it is that you actually use these fresh fruits and vegetables when the food bank comes out. So for us, some of our greatest abilities to distribute food, our community marketplace, which is held in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. We have one every first Saturday, second Saturday, and third Saturday. And the emphasis is placed on fresh fruits and vegetables, as well as the ability to learn how to use those fresh fruits and vegetables.
So you do this all together, so you're actually combining here's the food,
yes,
and this is how you're going to prepare this,
yes,
and then this is how you get it onto the plate and
yes,
make sure that the children or whoever is in the household,
yes,
will be able to enjoy and benefit from that. What's the correlation between food insecurity and public health?
The correlation is that if you eat healthier, you'll live longer. The correlation for us is that we see 48% of those that are served by the food bank's programs, they have a family member or them themselves have high blood pressure. So the correlation is that if you eat healthy, If you eat right, if you eat proper, if you have a proper nutrition balanced diet, you have the ability to live a long time. We see now that statistics are showing us that people are living longer. They're living longer. They have the ability to live longer. But that means nothing if you're living longer and you're not having the ability to enjoy life. If as a child you're living and you're growing up and you're going to sleep on an empty stomach, or as a child you're living and you're growing up and you don't have the ability to properly develop because you're not getting those fresh fruits and vegetables.
Which really goes to developing the brain, because that's as much or even more important as far as the physical development of them. Looking at going to these food desert concepts, what is the percentage of decrease? I know that there's more farmers markets. Maybe you can speak to that, Tyrell. And then how are you actually addressing that with what you're doing, but tying in to the farmers market so that each area within, say, a city like Washington, D.C., or some of the inner suburbs actually are addressing this issue and getting more and more people involved in having fresh foods?
Yeah, the emphasis for the food bank, our emphasis now over the past 3, 4, 5 years has really been on fresh fruits and vegetables. We are pushing that we need to ensure that those in the inner city, those in our surrounding counties have the ability to access fresh fruits and vegetables. And so for us, the market style that we provide at the community marketplace, the market style that we provide through our mobile market program, which we have 88 sites that are within our metropolitan area, within our service area.
88 different sites.
88 different sites that on a monthly basis are distributing fresh fruits and vegetables directly to the community. And within the past year, these combined with the community marketplace are able to distribute that fresh fruits and vegetables, ensuring that our neighbors in need are having access to not just food, but it's fresh fruits and vegetables, that emphasis being placed on fresh fruits and vegetables, so that it's able to, obviously we as the food bank, we don't have the capacity to go and open up grocery stores in these areas that are in high need, in these areas that are considered food deserts. But we have the ability to ensure that what we're doing is we're providing and connecting our neighbors in need to fresh fruits and vegetables, because obviously one entity, one program, one dynamic can't do it all.
Well, the whole thing about it, too, is that you're out there, you've got these 88 different sites, you're tying into the farmers markets, I would assume, for all of that. So you have maybe well over 100 or so different sites around the area, and this is portable. So it's not like you have to have a store to do this. No. You can do it. Well, we're just about running out of time, so I want to get this up here. This is all about food. So looking at this, what do you see for the growth and development of the Capital Area Food Bank, say, over the next 5, 10, 15 years, Terrell?
I see for the growth of the food bank, us being able as an entity and us having the ability to reach and connect those that are in my age bracket, those that may not necessarily understand hunger and what it means and what it's defined as, or what it actually looks like. So being able to tie that in, tie in the opportunity to be of service. The biggest emphasis for us has been on volunteers. We have 20,000 plus volunteers every year. And so we want to ensure that we're able to connect those that are in the city, those that come into the city to visit, that they have that opportunity to give back and understand that hunger is not just a person that's laying on the street.
Okay, we're out. Tyrell Holcomb here from the Capital Area Food Bank as we create the Emerald Planet. You did fantastic, young man.
I helped turn my child's public school into a whole new kind of school. One with a curriculum that really motivates kids. One that has extended hours, 6 days a week, year-round. With loads of academic, cultural, and recreational activities. One that has support services like medical and dental right there. A school where parents' involvement is encouraged. Where teachers have more time to teach. And students are excited about learning. There's just one problem. My child doesn't ever want to come home. You can help turn your school into a community school for excellence. Find out how. Call 1-877-LOVE-TO-LEARN.
It's coming. Right to your neighborhood. And when it does, you may be surprised. It's your Social Security statement of your benefits, and it's going to help you plan your financial future. Your benefit statement will tell you how much Social Security you're eligible to receive and when you'll get it. Then you'll know how much you need to save for retirement, because that's coming too. The future is in your hands. Choose to save.
The toxic fumes from this meth lab are seeping into Jamie's sinus cavity. Ammonia vapors invade her throat. Toxic gases fill her lungs. Jamie's body is deteriorating. And she doesn't even know it.
Jamie, dinner.
So, who has the drug problem now? Find out how meth affects you at drugfree.org/.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello, and welcome to the Emerald Planet, and we come to you on a week-to-week basis from Washington, D.C. and the United States as we look for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products, and of course the people that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. So when we're looking at that, how are we going to be able to provide the food for a planet that's going to have 9 billion souls by 2050? And we have a gentleman that's in the life balance business called a life balance expert, Manifest Ra, and he has what's called Manifest Entertainment. And this is the inner part and the external, right?
Absolutely.
Manifest.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about your organization, but really the farmers market that's around you that you use on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. We're going to pursue that. So anyway, Manifest, welcome to the Emerald Planet TV.
It's a pleasure to be here, Dr. Sam.
Okay, I'm glad to have you here. And anyway, Manifest, tell us a little bit about this Manifest Entertainment, I-N-N-E-R. I love it.
Well, you know, Dr. Sam, being in television such yourself, there are many TV shows out and that keep people laughing and keep people engaged, but it's not always informative and enlightening. And so the entertainment is all about empowering, enlightening from within. Everything that we need to be our highest self is within us. It's not external. Life is an inside job. So when we eat the right foods, when we think the right thoughts, when we actually take that time to nurture ourselves, it's reflected in our outward behavior and how we engage our people, the people around us in our environment. And so Manifest Entertainment is an enterprise where we do motivational speaking, we do training seminars for corporations, government agencies, and colleges, where we talk about health promotion and eating the right food, just like you're talking about today.
Yeah, we'll look at this equation for the well-being is all part of that. But I know very near you, you actually have a farmer's market. Tell us a little bit about the farmer's market, and if you can just kind of think back when it was there, what it was like before you actually had the farmer's market, and maybe some of the changes in the community that's occurred after having a farmer's market.
Absolutely. I live in the Brookland, Northeast area near Catholic University, and I've been living there for about 4 years now. When I first moved over there, we had one health food store, about a good 5 to 7 minute walk, and then you had to jump on the metro to get to some supermarkets in the area there. But outside of that, it was nothing really to engage the people, to really help them become rooted with local farmers and things of that nature. So the conversation about food growing and even starting gardens right in your community didn't really exist. When the market came about 3.5 years ago, a little bit less, everything changed. People started to be able to talk to the farmers that lived within maybe 30 or a 90-minute radius. People were really excited about CSAs, being able
and
to...
the CSA is the...
community sustainable agriculture,
right,
where you can actually get bundles of foods
right,
for a discounted rate, healthy foods, that
right,
is.
Yeah, and then they show up. I mean, the people show up and you go and you pick, whether you want your onions or potatoes or apples or whatever it is. So it's a real mix of food. So the CSA is really a movement that's just taking the whole country by storm.
Absolutely. Well, when you think about, we live in a country of abundance. It's a great process living in America, but there's some excess as well. And so looking at the abundance model, people in America buy plenty of food. It's not always the healthiest food, Dr. Sam. And so we're kind of moving people in the direction of buying an abundance of healthy foods. And so, yes, when you can get your lettuce, you can get your cabbage, you can get your cucumbers, your okras, or anything that you need, but it's all healthy food, and you can get it from a discounted rate, you're excited about getting that food every other week, and it really makes a difference because when you can stock your pantry, your refrigerator with healthier foods, you're less likely to eat the fast food McDonald's and places right down the street.
Right. Well, the whole thing too is that you want to have things that are fresh, absolutely as possible to bring into the family and provide the type of nutrition, because it's not just about the body, but it's about the brain and the spirit that you're able to nourish out of really good foods. But looking at that farmer's market, you talked about generating excitement. All of a sudden people feel a connectedness from, the inner city. Brooklyn's a very beautiful area. I go over there actually quite frequently, and you got the Providence Hospital there, and you have some real anchors that are really leaders as far as the Washington, D.C. and the capital region, right there, right near where you're living. But looking at that farmers markets, how did you see those farmers? Do you see any change in them as well as the change in the local community citizens living in Brooklyn?
Oh, absolutely. Well, anytime farmers, and I don't have that much experience growing food. My family on my mom's side comes from that more rural and agricultural background, so I've had an opportunity to see what that looks like. But when anybody that's a farmer, when you talk to these people, they really take a lot of pride in actually planting their seeds literally into the earth. And seeing that maturation process, seeing the food come into its own, come into existence. And so when you can actually bring that food in and you've actually had conversations with the food, you're putting your own life force and energy into the food, and then you bring that food into the communities and you see the engagement that the people have with that. You can tell by looking at the farmers, they're very excited. When you have conversations with them, they're telling you what's in season. They're going through, hey, the difference between this apple relative to this apple. And it's an enlightening process, because when you go to the grocery store, you just don't get that. But you're actually having farmers who are excited about what they're putting into the earth and then what's ascending up and bringing that into the community.
Well, looking at the name of your organization, INNER, I-N-N-E-R-tainment, I'm going to keep spelling that so that we know what that's really all about. But the whole thing about that and this interaction with the food source, has there been any movement within your community where people now are starting to come up with the community gardens and are starting to actually grow their own food and then use that to take back to their homes for themselves?
Absolutely. I would say about 3 years ago, a conference in the D.C. area started. It was initiated. I think it's called Rooting D.C. And
that's a very good organization. I'm glad you brought that up. Absolutely.
And it's usually around the spring equinox when you really begin planting the seeds. And my first time going about 3 years ago, I had no idea about this conference. And I looked around, and it was not just 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 organizations, nonprofit organizations that are in alignment with food security and food sustainability. It was tons of people.
Yeah. And I was actually at that. I was at that event, and there was over 500 people that came out, and it just absolutely floored everyone that were organizing it. They thought they would get maybe less than half of that number, and the building was just absolutely full. It was incredible.
Absolutely.
Great energy in the room, and that's really what you're referring to and all that too. Going back to these farmers markets and the importance, we're trying to reduce obesity rates in the inner city. We're trying to create more green jobs in the inner city. How do you see the farmers markets being a catalyst to do these other things, not just bringing the fresh fruits and vegetables and even the meats and cheeses into the inner city, but also to create new jobs and engage with people so they feel like that there's something else out here and we have a future beyond just what we've always been doing the last 5, 10, 15, 50 years?
Well, that's a great question, Dr. Sam. The first question about obesity, first point, again, going back to what you're buying in abundance. If you're buying healthier foods and you see where your dollar is going and how it's investing into CSAs, or you're having a conversation and you're now gaining greater awareness about the foods that you're getting. I think generally speaking, when people know better, they do better. But there's a lack of education in many inner cities, as well as some rural areas, to the nature of what's healthy food. Number two, your second point in terms of prosperity, economic growth. We're living in a society where things are changing. The 9-to-5 job and the 401k plan is not what it used to be.
Exactly.
And so in the future, you're going to have to create your own, that's the new paradigm, create your own employment, your own business, your own way of life. And so we're living in a technologically advanced age where, there are many ways of being creative. And so when we talk about the urban farmer, you're talking about the person that's growing food in their own lot, they're creating the CSAs. There are all kinds of opportunities. And we even have something called guerrilla farming, where people are just saying, hey, there's an empty lot over there, there's an empty area over there near the woods, let's start growing food there. And so this is creating a different mindset about, hey, I can grow my own food, I can actually begin to sell it to others, I can actually even start my own catering business. And one of the things that's very important, we have to get our young people involved. And so when we talk about young people, and even some of the schools now are having community gardens or school gardens. And so that's changing the mindsets of young people that are saying, hey, I can actually participate in the growing of my own food. And I'm sure that's going to evolve to the point where they're saying, hey, now we can stop selling the donuts and the Girl Scout cookies, and we can actually start selling some of these healthy foods for PTA meetings. So I think whether it's adults or even young people are going to start getting creative on how they can actually channel this movement into greater economic means and starting businesses.
Because of your focus on this entertainment and inner development, one of the things that many of the schools are doing now, they are growing their own vegetables, they're bringing into the cafeteria and actually allowing the children to be involved in cooking their own meals and all that. Phenomenal. So how do you see that as far as projecting forward 5, 10, and 15 years manifest, where the kids are actually doing it now, and all of a sudden they're going through high school, they're in college, university, then setting up their own homes? How do you see that continuum going by them, just that simple thing of being able to prepare their own food?
Well, it all starts with a mindset, and when you take young people who are fertile ground, if you will. They don't have a 9-to-5 job. Oftentimes they don't have 2 or 3 children and a dog, and they're not locked in to a way of life. They're just open vessels. And when you actually can show them the importance of food, the necessity of healthy food and how to grow this own food, these are the people that are going to be our teachers, our politicians, our business people. And so it's going to start a movement, a domino effect. It's not just what they're going to be doing right now. 5, 10, 15 years from now, they're going to take this same awareness and they're going to actually impart it into how they're promoting their businesses and how they're engaging their community. So I think this whole awareness is just going to get better as we go along, and it's so needed on the planet.
I want to add, I'm going to throw this question in. How would you take these farmers markets, you bring that fresh food in, but also add exercise to that?
Oh, wow.
How do you perceive that?
Oh, well,
we got about 30 seconds to do all that. Got to be quick.
Well, I tell you real quick, most people, I think, have awareness about emotional eating. A lot of eating in America is emotional eating. And so when people are stressed out, they tend to go to fast food, eating the wrong foods. But when people are exercising regularly, they're running, they're doing yoga, Tai Chi, and they're centered, tranquil, and consolidated within, they're going to eat the healthier foods. As simple as that. So, one hand feeds the other.
Because the body and the mind and the spirit really cries out for that. Would you say that's correct, Manifest?
Absolutely. It all goes together.
Now, looking at this, take control. One last thing. How do you take control?
Well, you take control.
5 seconds.
Well, by saying right now, you're going to do better at what you put in your mouth and what you put in your mind.
Okay, very good. We are what we eat, right?
Absolutely.
Manifest Raw, life balance expert, Manifest Entertainment. And thank you for being with us as we create the Emerald Planet.
Saving for retirement might be easy for some, but for others, it might take a little more work. And for those who haven't started, there are still things you can do to catch up.
Oh, that is good news.
Like getting out from underneath past debt. And don't get wrapped up with high-interest credit cards.
Get you some eyes.
Be diversified with your investments. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Your financial goals are not out of reach. The choice is clear. For a happy ending, choose to save.
Everyone with alcohol and drug addiction is in the same boat. With treatment, you can find solid ground. For drug and alcohol information and treatment referral for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP.
There should be a little bag of cards there.
7, 8, 9, 10.
There, and you see the different areas of the card. And it's like about...
Dude, are you sure you want this tattoo? Because...
Just do it!
Again? 10, 9, 8,
Some mistakes
7,
in life
6,
are
5,
permanent.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Like hearing loss. To learn how to protect your hearing, visit asha.org.
You've probably heard about heart disease, but did you know that it's the #1 killer of women nationwide? Heart disease claims more lives each year than breast cancer, lung cancer, or strokes combined. But there are steps you can take to protect yourself against it. For more information on how you can prevent heart disease, contact your local American Heart Association or visit their website at www.americanheart.org.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello, and welcome to the Emerald Planet. We come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States on a week-to-week basis as we're looking around the globe and anything that's in the green sphere, within the green space, that's making a difference as we're looking forward to what's going on as we add 2 billion new people to the planet. And as we add the 2 billion new people to the planet, what we're going to be able to do as far as providing the food, the fuel, the fiber, the basic infrastructure of education, and at the same time is to be able to provide healthy meals and health experiences for these people. Someone sitting right beside me is helping in this whole movement. This is Michelle White. And I can attest to the quality of everything that she does. She's the chef and owner of what's called the Confection Connection. I love that name, Michelle.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us on the Emerald Planet TV.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Well, we're really glad you're here. Tell us a little about your company, Confection Connection. I know you got all these X's in here. It's a cute name. Tell us a little bit about the evolution of the name.
The evolution of the name kind of is part of our mission, you know, connecting people to gourmet confections at an affordable and approachable way. We started out at Union Kitchen. It's a food incubator in Northeast DC. We create artisanal baked confections there using locally sourced ingredients and bright, bold flavors like all natural freeze-dried fruits and integrating them with modern techniques to create yummy treats for people to enjoy. Union Kitchen's a great place for us to get our feet wet. It lowers the overhead for startups like us. There's about 50 members there. And through that membership, we've had a lot of collaborations where we do wholesale with quite a few of the caterers there, which we really enjoy doing. We're on a couple of the menus through DC Vegan and Quick Steps, and we sell our frozen chocolate-covered bananas to Naughty Foods, which is a floating food truck out on the Potomac River. So
yeah, I've seen those out there. Tell us a little bit about this community kitchen where you prepare your foods and how that actually works. I've heard of that, but I don't know that much about it, and I think that would be of great interest because that really expands your reach, correct?
It really does. They're the ones who actually exposed us to the farmers market, but it's a great entrepreneurial spirit that they have there. You're connected to so many other like-minded businesses. They lower the overhead, the cost of overhead to start up business, which already is a lot of money to start just, you know, getting into a kitchen that has a health inspected, up to code kitchen that everyone can use communally. They have different membership levels. We operate there 24/7. We have free access to it, but however, they have other tiers. And then from there, they have added values where they do their own catering, so I can add my desserts to their catering menu. And then they just connect you throughout the community because they've already done so much of the groundwork for you that they just make it easy for your product to get out there. And Union Kitchen's name holds so much value in the community itself, so proud to be there.
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. And also tell us a little bit about this outreach into the community using, you know, these types of facilities, and what does that do you as an entrepreneur? Does that really, how much does that really lower your cost and also cut the preparation time as far as setting up your own business? Because we're really focused, as you know, in Emerald Planet on entrepreneurship, but particularly among female owners and managers of their own company. So this is very interesting information.
Yeah, it's great. You know, it's been a dream of mine to be able to do this for a long time, but I've always been scared to take that leap because the cost of startup. So basically you pay a membership fee to work there per month. You know, we sign a contract for 6 months, which they've just extended for a year, which is great. And out of that membership, I'm guaranteed my space. I have several shelves, and it just really makes it affordable to be there. You know, you have access to the baked goods, or I'm sorry, the ovens and the refrigerators, things that would just be insurmountable costs that I would never be able to afford on my own.
And thank you for mentioning that and bringing that forward, because I think that's very important. Why do you participate in farmers markets? That's how we met.
Yeah.
And you know, it was really interesting to see you there because you have, you know, all the fresh fruits and vegetables and meats and all that, and then you have these very nutritious confectionaries, which is, you know, part of a proper balanced diet.
Yeah, everything in moderation. You know, getting into the farmers market was a great way for us to reach out to the customers and find out what they do and don't want, and reach out to the community. You know, you have an idea of what is and isn't going to sell, but you never really know until somebody's actually trying your food and you get the feedback. Somebody who's always been in the kitchen, I really appreciate getting that direct feedback. You want to know what somebody thinks about your food, be it good or bad. You know, constructive criticism is always helpful. So just making that connection, finding what does and doesn't work, and finding which community best fits you. So eventually one day, if I was to, you know, get a brick and mortar, which place would best welcome me and support me? So
yeah, it's a very low cost or low impact way to really establish your own business, build your brand name, but again, to be able to share and spread all that cost over everything that you're doing. It's a very smart way you've established your business.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about the farmers markets, and then how you contribute to bring higher quality foods into the inner city, which is really kind of the thread of everything we're talking about.
Right. You know, we definitely use some things like butter and sugar. However, we don't use the really bad things. We don't have high fructose corn syrup. We don't use trans fats. We don't use artificial flavors or colors. Everything that we use is natural, and again, in moderation. You know, our cake truffles are small little bites, so you just get that little sweet after a meal, or just to kind of pick you up that day with your coffee. So it's not something like a huge piece of cake where you're going to feel weighed down or, you know, have a lot of calories. It's not going to be something that, you know, breaks your calorie bank.
Well, there's a friend of mine who actually started a cupcake business, and she went around and was harvesting the seconds, thirds, and fourths as far as fruits and vegetables, and then they started adding protein. They were able to take this cupcake, and it was an actual real meal for children that they could have in the schools.
Oh, wow.
And so this really expanded. So the kinds of things you're doing, I think, is just absolutely fantastic.
Oh, thanks.
And so it's really good that you're out there. And I know that you're trying to use, you know, whole wheats, and you're doing all these things to boost the protein and the fiber content of that. What is the mission and vision that you have for your organization, Confection Connection?
You know, the mission is doing small indulgent bites that, again, satisfy that sweet tooth, but don't break your calorie bank or your piggy bank. You know, it's scratch made, it's small batch, it's using local ingredients. That's another one of our things. We use cage-free organic eggs. And then we're also using our dairy is from local sources as well. It's Crater Farms. So that's something that's really important to us. As well as, you know, the vision, ideally one day, you know, getting a pop-up in one of the communities that supports us to eventually be able to give back to the people that supported us along the way.
Talking about pop-ups, this is something that's very popular now, and you know, in the language, you know, it's one of those concepts that you hear all over the place, but yet if you ask people to define what is a pop-up, particularly as far as restaurant, most people really have no idea what it truly is. Tell us about a pop-up, and then how does that relate to females and entrepreneurship?
Well, pop-ups are a great way. It's kind of an extension of a farmer's market. It's a great way of kind of doing something temporary without taking on the long-term commitment of a lease or purchasing the real estate yourself. It's a vacant space or piggybacking off an existing company that isn't utilizing that space during certain hours. Say you go to a place that's just breakfast and lunch, and you do dessert dinners or things of that nature. You fill that space when somebody else isn't there. And again, it's a great way, similar to farmers markets, to lower the overhead and get exposure and get your brand out there without taking on a huge surmountable cost.
Well, you've really adventuresome. You're going in, you're setting up your own business and all that. But looking at the whole aspect of green jobs or green businesses, that's the direction you're in. Actually, you're already doing it. So how do you see others being able to get into this using the same basic mindset that you have, take advantage of the community resources, use everything's out there, don't just be buying things and investing a lot of money when you don't really need to. So how do you see this, creating your own business, green jobs, fitting into the framework of what you're doing and how others may be able to use that, particularly in the inner city?
I think people in the inner city can get motivation from seeing somebody else do it on their own and taking that leap and learning from what did and didn't work for me. That's what I've definitely gained from the farmers market is learning from the vets who have been there and being like, what did and didn't work for you? And being able to follow some of their tips along the way and learn from their mistakes and not have to make them again. And yeah, that reduces the time, it reduces the amount of energy anyone's gonna have to put into it. And I think it just really gives a lot of people the motivation to take that own leap. It's like, if you can do it, I can do it, which is really what motivated me.
People can come to the farmers markets, just like in Petworth, where we met, and of course they can buy your creations over there. But if people now, as you know, they're trying to move people away from canned goods, whether it's vegetables, meats, whatever it may be, going to fresh vegetables and all that. What do people need to think about when they're making and preparing their own confectionaries, their own breads and that kind of thing? What would you suggest to boost the nutritional value but still have it so it's fun and it's delightful to eat?
To boost the nutritional value, some of the things I do is I make a lot of items with nuts in them, like my blondies have pecans in them. Think about ways that you can maybe limit oils, like you can put applesauce in there as an oil substitute, which I do in one of the cakes that I make. Just be playful. If it's a cookie recipe, instead of using regular chocolate chips, use chocolate chips that are sweetened with stevia and don't use dairy. There's definitely more all-natural options out there that boost the nutritional value, and take a chance with a whole wheat flour, and don't put the whole thing in as whole wheat flour. Maybe cut the all-purpose flour with half whole wheat, and just play around with it. That's what confections should be. They should be fun.
So in other words, be willing to experiment, but at the same time think about the impact you're having on your family and how to boost the nutrition, but also the energy levels.
Yes, exactly.
Is that what you're doing? Okay, we're almost out of time, so you see how quickly this goes. But looking at the Confection Connection, what do you see for the next 5, 10, and 15 years, Michelle, as far as the growth and where you're going with the inner city, but also farmers markets and maybe your own standalone store?
Yeah, in the future for me, I'd like to have our own, brick and mortar one day, which would hopefully, be part of the community to help facilitate, the 5-10 year growth of entrepreneurial spirit, hiring people that, need a second chance at life and other opportunities, and kind of continuing to give back and working with kids that are at risk and showing them they can do it too.
It's fantastic. Michelle White, she's a chef owner of Confection Connection, working in the farmers markets and also in the inner city. Thank you for being with us to learn how to boost the nutritional levels as we create the Emerald Planet.
I need a job.
Necesito trabajo.
I would like to speak English better.
Me gustaría hablar inglés mejor.
I want to be a U.S. citizen.
Quisiera ser ciudadano de los Estados Unidos.
For over 35 years,
Por más de 35 años,
the Hispanic Committee of Virginia has been serving our community.
el Comité Hispano de Virginia ha estado sirviendo a nuestra comunidad.
Job training and placement,
Capacitación, ayuda para conseguir trabajo,
education for children and adults,
educación para niños y adultos,
immigration, naturalization, and medical referrals
ayuda para los procesos de inmigración y naturalización y orientación sobre médicos
are a small part of what we do.
son solo una pequeña parte de lo que hacemos.
For help, information, or to volunteer,
Para ayuda, información o para ofrecerse como voluntario,
contact the Hispanic Committee of Virginia,
comuníquese con el Comité Hispano de Virginia,
helping everyone participate more fully in American society.
ayudando a todos a participar plenamente en la sociedad norteamericana.
Hey, Lena, where's yours?
Would you notice if you were missing half your kidney function? According to the National Kidney Foundation, 20 million people have chronic kidney disease, and 20 million more may be at risk and not even know it. Anyone with high blood pressure, diabetes, or family history of chronic kidney disease is at risk. Early diagnosis is vitally important. To get the whole story, talk to your doctor and visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org or call for a free brochure. Because when it comes to chronic kidney disease, you might not know the half.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
We come to you on a week-to-week basis, coming to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we're looking around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, services, and the products that are making a difference as we go through the 21st century. And we're also looking for those leaders that are making a difference, whether it's in downtown Washington, D.C., or it's Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, or any city around the globe, because we know that as we add 2 billion new people to the planet, it's going to take all of us working together to make sure that we're increasing the quality of life for everyone that's here and people are not just existing. And we have someone who has some very exciting products that I had a chance through the farmers market recently to enjoy, and this is Alimu Diallo. She is the Director of Marketing for Hara Coffee and Roastery, and they're connected to Ethiopia. So we're tying various countries together and cities in this whole thing. And then sitting right beside me here is Manifest Ra. He is a life balance expert, and his organization is called Manifest Inner, I-N-N-E-R. Keep spelling that for you.
That's right.
I'm going to charge you double for all this promotion you're getting. Entertainment, and it's a fantastic young man. And Manifest, thank you for being with us.
Pleasure.
And Ali, you're here by telephone from New York City, I believe.
Yes, I am. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you for these wonderful photographs that you shared. I have our mutual friend Manifest sitting here, and he'll have a couple of questions for you. But why don't you start off with the overview of your organization, what you're doing, and why the emphasis on coffee and beverages from Ethiopia in the inner city in the United States?
Sure. Well, Harar Coffee and Roastery is a local family-owned business offering a variety of high-quality coffee at a very competitive price. So we opened our coffee shop with a single vision to deliver outstanding coffee to our community. And we're determined to become a must-have and the go-to coffee shop for the neighborhood coffee lovers and local businesses. So what distinguishes us from other companies is that we only get our beans straight from Ethiopia, and we offer different coffee beans from Harar to Sidama to Yirgacheffe. And we roast our coffee daily in the shop, so we can offer like small fresh batch of coffee to our customers, and we don't let anything slip over. So we really stand behind our quality.
Now, looking at this, there are many coffee shops all over, and there's famous international brands and all that. So why create another company featuring and serving coffees?
Well, we're very distinguished from the other big coffee companies because we are just like a small company, and we're not trying to expand that much. And what we are focusing on is connecting our product with the local Ethiopian farmers, which is where we get some of our coffees. We help them just build that bridge between here and there and introduce their product.
Well, you know, we have Manifest right here as our special guest in case we happen to lose you by phone, but we seem to be doing very well. So Manifest, why don't you ask the next question?
Ali, it's a pleasure to hear from you, and we greatly appreciate the work that you're doing. I know you spoke briefly on some of the differences in Ethiopian coffee, but we'd like to hear what are the other differences that you can speak on relative to Ethiopian coffee in contrast with other coffee-producing nations around the world, and why are these connections important to Ethiopian-North American relations?
Well, as you know, there are like over 1,000 known varieties of coffee cultivars that exist in Ethiopia. But however, most people only know a few. So Ethiopian coffees are known to be bold and flavorful because of the soil and climate that they are cultivated on. So we offer a very diverse variety of coffee to our customers, and we try to connect that with the Ethiopians. So that's why we source it from Ethiopia. And some of the coffees that only people know here would be like Sirama or Yoga Chefe, are only known like from a very few amount of people here. So at the same time, we're trying to have like small-scale Ethiopian farmers who still use traditional farming methods by introducing those variety coffees in North America.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that, the organic nature and the uniqueness of that. But tell us a little bit about the uniqueness of the beans and the roasting process that you use, and which makes your beverages attractive or different than others within the marketplace.
Well, we roast our coffee in small batches daily, and we 100% stand behind that. As we all know, that fresh is the way to go for the best cup of coffee, so we pride ourselves in providing the freshest of flavorful coffee in town. We hence roasting it every morning in small batches. So at the moment where we offer the different coffees that we offer are, like I said, Hara, Sidama, Yoga Chefe, Amaro Gallo, Limo, Supremo, and Excello and Decaf. We also offer other coffees from Colombia and Kenya and Peru at the same time. But when we come in every Monday, we get the green beans of coffee, and we put them in our roasting machine, and we roast them slowly until they become the brown coffee bean that you know that is grounded and that is used to make the actual cup of coffee.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to this. This is actually, I really like this image that you have there, Ali, and thank you for sharing with us because it gives you an idea. You're going from there and then taking it into something that's lovely as the various cups that we have here. So this is really a nice way to show this off. I know that you're working with the small farmers. We've talked about that several times in the questions. You just mentioned that. But how does this really help the small-scale farmers in Ethiopia? And how is that actually to really develop or broaden the economic development impact, the green jobs in a country like Ethiopia, which has a very fast-paced and growing youth population, and you need really as many jobs as you can possibly create?
Well, right now, our future plan is to grow coffee to contribute our part of the environment. At the same time, we want to work as we're working with the small-scale farmers and bring the unknown numerous different coffee types from Ethiopia and other African countries to introduce this to our customers to an affordable price. So what we want to do overall is we want to create a business connection with those African small-scale farmers and the U.S. coffee lovers, so we can give those opportunities to those farmers to not have to deal with the big fees or the big export-import companies to do that, but just to bring the love for what they're doing and offer them opportunities to create more and introduce their product to the real coffee lovers in the U.S. Because I think every real coffee lover in the U.S. will appreciate having this fresh organic coffee coming and that is not overly processed and that is taken care of and that offers great quality.
And I know also, too, that you're trying to reduce the amount of the chemical fertilizers, insecticides, and pesticides. So in going with this organic nature of growing these, which is very traditional in Ethiopia and many other countries that produce coffee, you're really adding to the health benefits as far as the beverage of coffee. Is that correct?
Absolutely, because like I mentioned earlier, we try to help those small-scale farmers who only use traditional farming methods. And those are the traditional farming methods that give you that organic green bean coffee that you get that gives you that quality. So it's not overly processed. There's no chemicals. There's no pesticides. All they have is their farms. They grow their coffee from the roots with extreme care. When they get the green bean out, they separate it, make sure everything looks fine. They go through the quality check, and then they sell it to us, and then we'll introduce their coffee to our customers.
Now, something that Emerald Planet really works on and at on a day-to-day basis is having more and more women to be involved in their own small-scale business. And looking at these small-scale coffee farms, some of them are, I guess you could say, are plantations, but they're really more coffee farms. And I must say, I've actually had a chance to live on a couple of them in different countries, Kenya and Papua New Guinea. But how many women are involved in this, and how do they involve the children so that you're actually continuing the tradition, but really you're ahead of the curve as far as this traditional methodology and the organic nature of growing these coffee beans?
Well, we work with any kind of farmers, and of course, as you know, in Ethiopia, we do have some women farmers that are involved in the coffee growing process. I can tell you from one of our coffees that we offer is the Amaro Gallo coffee. It was exclusively exported and grown by a woman farmer there. I can't quite remember her name, but that's definitely something that I will get you when I find out. But she was the one who was definitely exclusively growing that coffee, and she was doing it in a very high quality standard way. And she will go ahead and get the coffee and then sell it to other companies out either in Ethiopia or in East Africa, West Africa, and then we'll reach out and we'll get it from her company as well.
No, that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Why don't you go ahead and ask the next question, Manifest, and we're going to wrap this up because we're about running out of time.
Okay, Ali, a question about the environment here in your company. How is your company contributing to enhancing the environmental quality of coffee growing communities in Ethiopia? And how can this help improve the soil or air and water quality there and other such communities around the world?
Well, as I mentioned, we only go through organic coffee. We don't go through overly processed or pesticide coffee. So I think that's the main reason how we can help the environment by just agreeing to just buy organically grown coffee and not offering this overly processed one. And from the organic growth and the small farm methods, all they use is natural water, natural products. So we really stand behind it, and we don't accept to sell or serve anything that's not behind that quality standard. So we want to be environmental friendly. We can only do that way.
We're just about running out of time, Ali. Thank you for being with us. But about 10 or 15 seconds, tell us about the growth of Hara Coffee over the next 5 or 10 years.
Well, over the next 5 to 10 years, we have few plans that we are working on.
Yeah, I would be quick.
So we want to contribute to the environment when we start growing it, and we want to introduce the Highland, the single origin for our customers.
Fantastic. This is Ali Diallo, the Hara Coffee and Roastery, and thank you for being with us. And Manifest, thank you for being here as we create the Emerald Planet.
Thank you for having me.